All right, I'm hitting the record button. I thought it was going to ask me where I wanted to record, but it didn't. So that's fun. I don't know where it's recording to. That's always interesting. Okay, well, it's recording somewhere, it says. And I'm now recorded talking about how I don't know where it's recording. Lovely. All right, so we are here to talk about collections and marketing and everything related to collections and marketing, which can be using your collection for programming, book clubs, displays, book lists, reader's advisory, marketing programs, anything. So go. Who has a question or something to share?
Well, I'll say that something I've noticed the past year or two is that when my teens come in, they come in and talk to me, or they come to a program, or they come in to hang out, but they don't come in to check out books. They don't ever check out books. And most of the people checking out my teen books are adults. So I am open to suggestions.
First off, let me say you are not alone. That varies branch to branch in our system. At the main library, pre-COVID, we were convinced that like nobody checked anything out, but somehow the books did move from time to time. But yeah, we do have some diehard readers that are coming in now, but yeah, a lot more teens come in to talk to the staff rather than just to actually check out materials. Anybody else experience that? Anybody have a way to work around that?
See, I had two different groups. I had those that came to the programs and then wouldn't check out books. And then I had other kids who would just go grab books and leave. And I mean, it's kind of to each his own. You just had to go with the flow, I guess. And then hopefully that these books are getting moved and circling. But I don't know. So I'm trying like a lot of different tactics this time to try to get my books to circulate, and it's hard because the teen space with all the books back here is all closed off, and so they have a newer section of new books that's downstairs that they can check out. So if they don't know what they want, like all these books are going to go away. So I'm just trying to market as best as I can, but that's where I'm kind of need what else can I do to market besides Instagram, or like I'm just trying those book subscription boxes. So
that's a great idea. I haven't done the book subscription boxes. What do you call your service? What do you call your subscription box service?
Oh, we call them Blit Kits.
Blit Kits?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you. Could you tell us a little bit more about those?
The Lit Kits, well, I just started it in February. So I have like just a box. Again, it was a pack of 50 order from Amazon. So I know some people said, well, boxes are too expensive. They have to use bags, but I'm only doing 10 kits right now. And it's kind of like, well, if the box gets destroyed, it gets destroyed. I don't really care. So I do that. And then I just put in 2 YA books that's based on the theme. And then a bunch of other different stuff, like a craft, some snacks, and then each of them get like a little lemon that I crochet for them. And yeah, I think that's about it. Maybe a vinyl sticker.
That's lovely. That's great. I love it. What kind of food do you put in there?
The last one was a mystery box, and so I put in chocolate, like Death by Chocolate. So there's a brownie and there's a pudding. And I guess I don't really care if there's a person who has allergies or not. If they have allergies, they just won't eat it or give it to somebody else. I guess I don't really It's either that or it's candy, and then I put in tea and hot chocolate.
Oh, nice. Thank you. I'm writing all of this down.
We also find a lot that we have, there's two kinds of patrons. There's the book patrons, and then there's the program patrons.
Mm-hmm.
And more often than not, they're never the same person.
Interesting.
Introverts and extroverts is what I think of them as, because the readers are so stealthy. You know, they just slip in there and get books, as you say, and you're just like, what a surprise. But you know, then the ones that come to the programming, talk, show you all their art, you know, that's their sort of thing. We did blind date with a book for February, and that went really well for us. We just put like a little sticker on each wrap book, and we were surprised at, you know, I mean, they went. So that was really good for us. And so I can see that I hadn't tried doing the lit box, but I will try that now. I think it'll fly off my shelves, I think. So thanks a lot, Pamela.
Okay, it's too silent. Okay, I'm Darcy. I am in Pickaway County, and I just started working this summer, so it's during the pandemic. I taught at-risk kids for years, so I'm used to being around teens, but it's kind of a ghost town in our teen zone, and it just got moved from adult services to youth services, and so I don't really have any idea to how make things happen in there. And it's breaking my heart to go in. They give me a circ list of things that haven't circed in 2 years, and I have to weed them out. And I'm looking at books that still crunch. How do I get people in? Any suggestions would be appreciated.
Mine really applies more like pre-pandemic, but I mean, I think you could still work with it now. I'm Lauren, I'm from Toledo Library. I'm a newer librarian also. And I also taught at-risk kids before this. So basically what I do, because we don't get a lot of teens in, like even before the pandemic, my audience was mostly tweens. So that's who would come to my programs, but partnering with teachers at the schools really has helped me a lot, because I've found a lot of the times the teens don't really even know that we exist, and what services we offer. So partnering with their teachers, and that helped me. I mean, I saw a few more faces in, and then of course, COVID. So that kind of derailed all that. But that's something that has helped me just get a bigger audience and sort of put ideas in kids' heads.
Did you target language arts teachers? How did you choose your, okay.
Yeah, so I kind of already knew a few teachers. So I reached out because I was a teacher. So I reached out to them. So that was helpful. But coming from a teaching background, I mean, really, anyone who wants to partner with us, in my opinion, is helpful. Like, I kind of always wanted help. Yeah. So they were really happy and very welcoming. I mean, not all teachers are going to be like that, but for the most part, they were like, yes, please come into the classroom and teach my students how to research things. Please, bring some book lists or do little book talks. So really just, I mean, putting those ideas in their heads, I think, can be helpful, and getting outside the library. It's harder now though, because everyone's library is different. Like, we have people coming in, but I don't really see teens anymore because they're pretty much all doing online school. Hopefully that's starting to go more to in-person this month. So I'm hoping for more kids that'll come back in, but we'll see.
We just started seeing some teens starting to come back this week at the main library, which is where I do my public service. And because they just started going back to school in person this week. So I think that should hopefully grow over time. I don't know, like the typical methods are, from pre-COVID. I don't know that any of those will necessarily work nowadays, but definitely reaching out to teachers, because they have them as a captive audience.
Right.
Whether they're in person or virtual, like if you have the ability to virtually show them how to use a database or something that relates to one of their assignments, go for it. If nothing else, it gets your face in front of them and reminds them that the library does exist. And you can throw in there like, hey, we're open. Pre-COVID, I mean, I grew my teen program from 2 and 3 to 40
Wow.
at programs, and I totally bribed them for it. I mean, early on, I flat out told them, I'm like, if you bring a friend, I'll give you both candy next week. And by God, they all showed up with friends. And then the friends all showed up with friends, and the rest is history. But it worked. And what they didn't know is I was going to give them snacks anyway. But they thought it was special because they brought a friend.
Yeah, I know in talking to some of my people, they're like, well, we used to do a lot of food, but then the kids just showed up for the food. They didn't, stay for programming. All they did was grab food and go. So they kind of quit doing food.
In that case, I would make them stay for at least half the program before I even put out the food.
There you go.
Because then
in our case, we used to
half
do
the program.
in our case we used to do food programs because we know they love food so much. So a lot of our programs had a food component to it, like some sort of competition, like who could decorate the best cupcake or who could make the weirdest gummy sushi, and we tie it in that way. And they did stay and to the point where they would all stay and even help us clean up at the end. So that's, I know it's still bribing, but that was before COVID. Actually, our teen room here at Bellevue has been closed. So, and we have a pretty strict unattended minor policy now. So if you're a minor, you have to be here with a parent. So we don't get teens because we have said we don't want them here. I know it sounds awful when I put it that way, but it would be very difficult to enforce social distancing and keep that area clean if we had it open. We don't really have the staff or the space. We really don't have the space to be able to have them here safely. So, I feel like we kind of lost the teens during this pandemic year. And, I'm not really sure how to reconnect with them. We're not going to be opening the teen room anytime soon. So I'm thinking we can do some outdoor programming in the summer like we did last summer for the younger kids. We've done outdoor story time and that's all been great. But I don't know. We might not see the teens until this summer, and that makes me so sad. They've all grown like at least 2 feet. They're all taller than I am now. So I don't know. It's been a strange year.
Yeah, I tried to do some virtual programming early. I don't know. And just the participation was dismal. I think they are just zoomed out. They're tired of sitting in front of a screen. The Take and Make Art, goes, but that's about it.
Well,
Well, you're-
go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good.
I would like to tell you how I get some students in here. I'm lucky to have a middle school across the street, and I have in-person programs. They only go Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, Friday. So we have 2 programs a day. 9 students can sign up, and then me, I'm number 10. I do a cooking program. I don't have a stove here, so I teach them how to make things in the microwave, in a toaster oven, in an electric skillet, things that they could use at home if their parents aren't there. I hooked on to the food thing. So they are actually making food and eating it. And my program has 9 kids in there all the time. And then they usually go out and choose a book too. The biggest thing I had to put my foot in the door was to partner with the schools. Sometimes it is so hard to get in, but if you keep pushing and keep pushing, you will get in. And really this year, they all should have no choice but to partner with a library to help all of these kids. So keep pushing to get into your schools is what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you.
One of the things I think to really push when you get into the schools is because so many of them have got messed up cards because of what's happened in the past to their cards, and I really, just tell them the whole story. Your uncle comes over, you've got a TV series, he takes it home, he breaks up with his girlfriend, she walks out with it. I lay it out, the sort of scenario, how it's not their fault, but their card got messed up. And then I explain to them, you can use the digital products, and I really push that because for a lot of them, they're like, really? I can still use any of the digital products, because they think that they've messed themselves up for life, and I always want them to know you have not. You can use all these products. That helps quite a lot with the digital products. And it also means that quite a lot of them begin to see that we're there for them. We're not just sitting there and not part. We want them to use our products.
Okay.
We also do student cards that they can check out up to 3 items, and like they can always have up to 3 items on their card. Now that means that if they lose one, well, that one is still on their card, so then they're down to 2 that they can check out. But it gives them like a second chance because they can have a student card even if they have a regular card. So it kind of gives them that second chance when, there's ridiculous amounts of fines on their regular card, and it's not even stuff that they checked out because, when you can look at it, and when they were 2 years old, somebody checked out and lost a whole series of movies on, pregnancy. Well, that was obviously not the 2-year-old watching those. But they can do that, and they can also access all of the online materials, and they definitely do. They don't think they are allowed to use the online materials because they have fines, and sometimes just telling them, like, hey, you can do that. And some of them will say like, well, I don't have a device. It's like, well, you can come to the library and use our computer, and you can, use Hoopla in your library card, and you can watch a movie here. You can download an ebook and read it while you're here.
And that has really a lot of advantages for them. But as far as programming, we did outside programming as well last year. We're going to start again in April. We did Jackbox. They like it. We had all the Jackbox games you can imagine. And for one thing, they just like to come and laugh and see some other kids. And so that worked for us. We were really strict with it in that we put the chairs out 6-foot distance. We had a limited number, and that that has worked for us. Some of those kids that came for Jackbox have continued to come for virtual programs, but of course it kind of drops off eventually. But we've done a lot of food products where they come and get their packets, you know, like bubble tea. That was really very popular. Bubble tea was great. The chocolate bombs, you know, where they make the hot chocolate bombs. That was really popular, and we give them everything in their packets, and they really kind of liked that. Those were good programs.
What is Jackbox?
Jackbox is it's games, lots of different kinds of games, and they use their phones, and they go in and they play an individual competition kind of game. It might be a word game, it might be there's all kinds, any kind of game you want, and they like it because they sit there and use their phones and play these games, and we play them with them.
So it's an app?
Yeah, you'll just Google Jackbox and
okay. That's what I need
real
to know.
easy. It is real easy to set it up, and it's fun. And in fact, we all like to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, the Jackbox games are really fun. Kahoot trivia is also fun, where they can answer right from their phone.
We also do an Animal Crossing program that's super popular, and that fills up like every time. We had some teen librarians that were, so all of our virtual programs are planned centrally now, and I'm on the committee that helps plan them, so I get to put on some of them, but we had some teen librarians who were building islands, and those were very, very popular. Kids really liked those.
Explain that more.
So have you heard of Animal Crossing?
No.
Okay.
I'm a media illiterate.
It's a game they play on their it's a Nintendo game.
Okay.
And I'm not really a gamer, so I don't know a ton about it. So if anyone is, feel free to jump in, or if I sound super illiterate, just jump in. So basically the librarians build these islands, so we get off desk time, and that you buy the game, you build these little islands, and people's characters, you have like little animal characters, they can visit these islands, and they can be like as basic or really as extensive as you want them to be. So a lot of our librarians that are gamers have played this like on their own, and so they were already familiar with how to do it, and they set up the islands basically like libraries. And so I think your little character can go through and like collect things or do different tasks, and then you can interact too, so you can chat with other people that are at the program. So it was a good way for teens to connect, or if you wanted to like turn off your microphone and when your camera and just like play the game and not interact, they had that option too. So it kind of catered to both, I guess, types of teens.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Lauren, how do you connect with that Animal Crossing? So you set up this island. How do people get into this island? Is there a code you give them?
Yeah, so they have there's like a join code. Let me find the link for it and then put it in the chat.
Do you guys also play over Zoom when you do this then too?
They do, yes.
Okay.
For those of you who use Jackbox, I've always played it. I've never actually led it. It's my understanding it's about $20 or $30 to purchase it. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And that'll be one party pack. And, once you've got one party pack, then you'll buy a couple of maybe others. And then you just, I have it on my computer. I hook it up to my overhead. Outside, we put up a screen and so they can see it. And then it'll come up and it'll just tell them the code that they need to do. And then they go in with their code and we'll play it. And then now, because we've got a lot and we have kids that know what they want, then they'll kind of tell us, oh, let's do this, or can we do this today? And then we'll just go with that. But that's what we do. We just hook it onto our overhead projector and put up the screen. And if it's a windy day, it's kind of interesting, but otherwise it's fine.
Can I put this in the chat just for the breakout room, or does it go to everybody?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, if everyone gets it, no big deal. Let me just put it in here.
Everybody else just won't have a clue what it's talking about. It's all good.
Have you guys tried Pokemon Go with your kids at the library? I know my library just turned into a gym. So sometimes I'll notice one of the kids has defeated me. So I just re-defeat them. And then they come in and say, okay, who's Ninja Librarian? And I was like, it's me. I am Ninja Librarian. And it gets them coming in. So that's one of my fun ones. Or Among Us. I was thinking about playing Among Us with the kids. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one. Just little stuff. But the Pokemon Go, that really gets them.
We do Among Us here, and it is very popular.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia Perron, and I am actually a graduate student at the high school at Kent State, so I don't work in a library right now, but I have a question about, we've talked in several of my teen classes about like book talking, and we did a little bit of that. I was just curious if that's something that you guys do in your libraries, and if that is effective, or like if people are watching that, or just if that's something that you guys do. I'm just curious.
There's a limited number who are interested in that, but I think the major thing is to make sure you're using different genres. When you go in, try and set, also, always to try and make it a challenge. Like, I'm going to try and talk you into reading this, and then go from that point of view. I think, but you need to have a good mix of books. So that kind of works.
And how do you like promote that? Because I'm assuming it's on like a YouTube channel, but do you use like social media to kind of get that out there? Or how does that work at your library?
Well, social media is a problem. I mean, really it is, because we're not allowed to use TikTok here. And there's no teams that are on Facebook or one of the things we do is we had really a lot of teams that used to come to our plugged and unplugged program. So we've now tried to start like just emailing them or texting them and telling them what we're doing, because that's our base of the people who come to programming. But it's a big problem. I don't know if the rest of you use TikTok, but we're not allowed to use it.
Yeah. Instagram, I know that's a popular thing still.
We use Instagram, but it's not better for us than,
okay,
maybe better than Facebook, but really not.
We have an Instagram, and we do a lot of book talks through there and a lot of book promotion. We have some language arts teachers who will actually ask us to come into the classroom or join them virtually nowadays and do book talks. the majority of our book talking is actually done informally in the stacks as part of Reader's Advisory. But there are some formal ways that we do it.
I like the idea of doing it for like a classroom, like you said, the captive audience.
Yeah.
Julia, before COVID, I used to go on a monthly basis to 3 6th grade classrooms and 1 7th grade classroom. And I've been doing that for probably about 6 to 7 years. And the teachers were great. They would like let me just stand up there and talk about books. And it was my entree to meet the kids. You know, that's how I really got to meet them. And I would see probably about, oh gosh, over several hundred kids every month. I would see the same kids. And that was great since we were in the same classrooms. They would like pull me over and talk to me like offside afterwards about different books, you know, and like they said, I've read that. And we would have these conversations and it was wonderful. And
Oh, that's awesome. I like that.
Yeah, last year, so I went to this after school program and I brought a bunch of books with them. So I do books and then we do an activity afterwards. And sometimes I would book talk it. Sometimes I would say, hey kid, why don't you read the summary? So they would just get up and read the summary for us. And sometimes they do it in different accents to match the theme of the book. So, I mean, that was more fun. Whether the other kids were paying attention, it was enjoyable for them. But this year, so I'm kind of doing that same group, but it's during their past class, like a study hall. And so once a month, for about 15 minutes, I just go and talk about some of the books. I would send them on a Google slide of all the books with what like the summary is. So they would have that for themselves and they can click, like it'd be linked to the catalog. So if they wanted the book, they could just click to it. And it's hard to tell whether they are responding or not because all you see is just classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
But one kid did, probably about a month ago, one did come to the library and he's like, hey, were you the one that does the book talks? And I said, yeah, that's me. And I asked him, well, how's it go? And he's like, yeah. So like, okay, it's not terribly boring, but it's not fantastic. But hey, he remembered. So that's good.
That's
so
good.
Yeah, and like how Steve said, a lot of it is in the stacks. You just try to talk a book up to them and hopefully they'll take it. If not, it's what you can do.
A lot of classrooms too are doing first chapter Fridays, where every Friday they read like the first chapter of a book just to get you hooked. We want to do that through our social media. We're not entirely certain how to do that or if it's even legal to do that. So there is that. We're also rolling out a Discord server for any of you who use Discord. And we're hoping to be able to like continue a conversation with teens that way. That way they can leave comments anytime, we can reply to them as time permits, but they're not limited to just when we're open to come in and talk to us about anything or ask questions about anything. And Teen Think Tank does have a Discord server also, where we can continue the conversation here. We have a Facebook group as well, but we also have a Discord server. And in the Discord server, you can, ask questions, share things, whatever you want. I'm gonna put a link in the chat box for that too. So you can go to at any point in time. Discord's a free app to download on your device, or you can go to it you can just follow the link and do it on your computer too, that's fine. That's one of our newest ways we're going to try to meet the teens where they are because they're already using the Discord app. So we're hoping that we can reach them because we're not getting a lot of them in the library right now. We're hoping we can reach them by literally taking the library to where they already are at.
Definitely. I've seen Discords or like that pop up at several libraries. So I only am like surfacely familiar with it. So I'm just curious how that worked. I think it has the potential to be really engaging, I think.
And I've talked to someone from the Cincinnati library, and they were using it, and they did say that one thing they were not prepared for when they started theirs was the number of teens bringing up questions relating to mental health issues and things like that. So I've already reached out to several organizations in our community and asked them, you know, like, how best would you like us to handle this? Like, do you want to join our server and interact directly with the teens? Would you, you know, I'm fine with that. I'll approve that. You know, do you want to just have us, you know, like have access to it and we'll notify you like, hey, we got a question. You know, could you hop on and address this with a teen? Or do you want us to just pass along like hotline or contact information or what? So I'm just awaiting those responses real quick, but
A great idea.
that is something to prepare yourself for and maybe, you know, have a plan ready before you roll it out live.
Definitely.
Don't want you to be as surprised as some other libraries have been by that. Nobody likes a curveball.
No, that's true. But that's really interesting. I think that's a great way though to, you know, connect them and get their questions answered by professionals. And that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And we're lucky enough that we've actually worked with several of these organizations in the past. Like we've partnered with them for them to provide programs for us. So I've got that relationship already built with them.
Oh, that's great.
So I'm just waiting to hear back from them, you know, like what do you want us, you know, how do you want us to handle this on our end? Like we've got tough topic bookmarks in all the libraries and they've got all of their hotlines and everything on it already. And we've had several teen staff who have commented that, you know, I've had some teens that I've kind of read body language and watched how they were acting in the library. And I've just kind of walked by when they were by themselves and just kind of slid it on the table in front of them, you know, and just said, just in case you need it, you know, if not, just leave it there. But it's a nice way of, you know, providing that information to them, but at the same time, setting a boundary of, I am not a counselor, I am not a social worker, I am a far cry from a psychiatrist.
But you're also you're making them feel seen and welcome,
Absolutely.
which counts for a lot.
Yes, yes. And, you know, and we're the information specialists. So, you know, if we can't give them the contact information and, you know, like I can't provide that service to you, but I can give you the information so that you can get that information and handle that yourself.
Absolutely. Oh, that's great.
In Cincinnati, how did they decide, Steve, to handle that? Like, what did they end up doing?
That I'm not sure, honestly. I just know they said they were kind of sideswiped by that. They were not expecting, you know, they're like, we were ready with plans, you know, in case, you know, there was like arguments on there or somebody was using inappropriate language or if there was, you know, bullying, you know, like that's all the stuff you expect to have, but like you're not necessarily expecting, you know, someone to be flat out posting about, you know, their mental health issues and or their homelessness or things like that. So
having worked with at-risk youth, I would expect it's like that's.
Yeah, you totally would.
And I think the library, I mean, I had friends who transitioned to library a year ago, and she was like, it's like the same thing. You know, people just drop off their kids at the library because they don't want to deal with them, or it's just a safe place for them to be. And, you know, I've had kids that were library hangers and we're like, well, they're always waking me up. Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
kind of in a different vein, when you talk like reader advisory and book talking, what's the best way to familiarize myself with the collection I have? I mean, clearly I don't have time to sit down and read all this
Oh no, and I
in
would.
an instant.
There's no way. None of us are ever
Right.
going to have read
Right.
everything in our collection.
Mm.
If somebody has, power to you. Like that would.
There are other things in life.
blow my mind, but like,
Yeah.
there's no way I will ever have that kind of time.
I mean, I'm part-time and I have another life. So how do I best wrap my head around, you know, just getting to know the collection and getting to know new things that are coming out?
if you're ever out on the floor working, and you're not busy with a patron, you know, just read some book jackets, like just the little
Yeah,
blurbs.
which I've been doing.
Familiarize yourself with like what basic themes different authors write about.
Okay.
You can use like Novelist or other resources to do some read-alikes, so that you've got like in your mind, like when they come in and they say, well, I've read, you know, I just read this book and I was really, really into it. You know, what else do you have that's similar?
Okay.
But be careful with that, because you have to find out what part of that book it is that they liked, because we had 2 siblings in the other day who both are like, we need help finding more fantasy books. And we're like, okay, well, you know, what type of fantasy books do you like? You know, like, do you want like just a little bit of fantasy? Do you want like major world building? You know, what kinds of things do you want? And you come to find out, like, they both like fantasy books, but the brother likes more blood, gore, and horror in his fantasy. And she wants feel good, lovey-dovey horror, like fantasy books. You know, so it's like, okay, so within the fantasy genre, we have some very drastically different requests here. Like, we're not going to just tell you to look for this label on the spine of the book.
Right.
Because that's not going to help you at all.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, even though if they ask me, I'm kind of like, unless there are things I've used in school, which is a limited set, I'm just like, it's a little overwhelming.
And don't be afraid to say, I don't know, but let's find out together.
Yeah, I did that teaching all the time, or I have some other really good adult librarians here that are great. So
yeah, it's not necessarily about what you know, it's about whether or not you know where to find it.
Okay. And I mean, I felt like when I taught, I mean, that was almost an asset, because it made them not feel like, oh, I'm dumb because I don't know. It was like, oh, okay, we'll work through this together.
My first graduate degree was in a master's in education. And in my exit interview, my advisor asked me a question and I said, I'm like, well, I don't know. And she's like, oh, well, you should know this inside and out. And I said, no, I said, I don't need to know it. I said, I know it's in this book, in this chapter. I'm like, I don't need to remember every single thing. I just need to know where to find that answer. Right. And like, I argued my point, and by God, I proved her wrong. I also took great joy in telling her that I had worked full-time the whole program, when she had told me at the beginning that I'd flunk out if I kept my job. But that just lit a fire under me and made me, I'm the kind of person I'm like, yep, I'll prove you wrong. Like that's what I needed at the beginning of the program. I'm like, yep, I'll show her.
Okay.
Not sure what that says about me.
So something that I do too, for Readers Advisory, also because I am a newer librarian, I subscribe to a lot of lists. I get a lot of stuff sent to my email. So basically things that are new. During quarantine, we were home for like 2 months. So I watched a lot of webinars about books that were coming out and sort of tried to have my finger on the pulse of things that were new. But no, you're never going to read everything in your collection.
When you say subscribe to a lot of lists, give me examples.
So like Book List, Book Riot. Our collection development internally sends out a list like every month of sort of new teen things that are coming out. What are some other ones? Like comics, because I'm not really too familiar with comics. So Dark Horse, I think, is one imprint that I get stuff from.
Actually, I follow a lot of publishers on Instagram, and they're really good about posting like lots of really cool, all the new stuff that they've got. And I find that to be pretty helpful. I read a lot, but also, you can't read everything that's coming out. But I have found that to be helpful, just to kind of stay in touch with all the new stuff coming out. And also Book Riot is amazing.
What about figuring out like what's the best resource to figure out what books are appropriate for what ages? Where do you go for that information the most easily accessible?
It depends how sometimes if the book is cataloged, like with your record, if it says it in the record. If it's not, sometimes for super more finicky parents, I've used Common Sense Media before, if anyone's familiar with that.
Brightly's good too. I use Brightly often because you can select or you can search different grade levels, and then it'll give you like a list. And sometimes there's a theme to that list as well. So I definitely love using Brightly, and it's for younger children up to teens. So
is Brightly free?
Brightly, it's just Brightly's, yeah, it's free. It's just a website. I'll put it in the chat. But I usually always I have it bookmarked. So whenever I'm on desk, because I'm a newer librarian too, and I don't like read everything, it's just helpful to have, especially if I get one like really random questions that kids are looking for, or if it's a genre that I just don't read, like fantasy's one that I don't read often. So it has some great lists on there.
Okay. Thank you.
Darcy, I go online and pull up the Scholastic book flyers, the book club flyers for teens, just to see, because they tend to be buying those and like looking at them at their school book fair. And I try to read at least some of them. So, I have some clue, what it is that they're probably buying and reading. But you can at least like look at the covers and read the blurbs. And usually the stuff that makes it into the book flyer, because it's only like 4 pages long, is like stuff that sells well and is very popular.
Okay.
Epic Reads is another one that's specifically for teens. I love Epic Reads.
Okay.
And with the Scholastic, there's 2 flyers for teens, like one for younger teens and one for older teens.
Yeah, because that's a huge leap. Like the tween to the teen, the appropriateness of content is a big gap. Okay.
Yeah, going into middle school and going out of high school is quite the different audience.
When you go on Accelerate Reader and pull up a title and click on the more detailed view, they will actually rate them like 6th grade and up, or 9th through 12th grade, or they'll say like, 10th grade and up. So that also will give you just like a starting point as well.
Okay. Yeah, because I was having problems. One of the first things we did, we were doing contests and giving books away for free. And they were, publisher releases or weeded books. And it's like, I can't just like write somebody's name on it and say, here's your prize. I don't know the family, I don't know the person. So finally we're just like, stop by and pick it up. And I had a box and said, choose from here. But, and even then I kind of needed to have a little bit. So if they asked me, it was a learning challenge.
Pamela, I had a question about your book subscription boxes that you do. I've seen that as becoming a bit more popular lately, that libraries are doing that. And you said that you included a couple YA books. This is kind of a silly question, but are they like library books, or are they books that they get to keep, or do they have to return them? Do they go on their card? How do you do that?
Yeah, they're library books.
Okay.
I know a lot of them do ARCs, or they just purchase books for them. But no, we do library books because it helps boost our collection number.
Definitely, yeah.
But so what I would do is, so you have the barcode here. I would just, there's probably a better way, but I just take and photocopy the barcode, and then I cut them out, and then I put them on a strip of paper about this long, and then I just paste them onto there, and so they can't see what's in the book. So when they get the box, they go to the circulation desk, and then the circulation just scans the books and then modifies the due dates.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool.
We do that at Bellevue, and we're still tweaking the way we deal with our book box subscription. You can probably see them over there. I have a pile of boxes over there that I'll be putting together soon. And the way we do it is that we have them submit a form through our website, and we just ask them a few questions like, what are some of your interests? What are your favorite authors? Anything you liked? And then we select 2 books for them. We put them in the box along with a craft, and mostly craft. We haven't done snacks yet. And we just checked it. And on that form, online form, they give us their library card number. So that way, when we receive the form, we just pull up their library card, we check everything out to them. And then the box also has a barcode on it. So it's like a material, I guess. And so that way we can put in their receipt. We have a little sleeve with a receipt and a bookmark and a little slip, so they can write in some suggestions for us. Hey, did we do a good job? Did you like the books that we picked for you or not? Oh, these were awful. Whatever they want, we have all that in there in the box for them. Then we write down their four letters of their last name and their first name initial. Then we put the boxes out in the vestibule or in the lobby. We call them, we're like, hey, come pick them up. They're ready. So then everything's ready to go. They just walk in and grab their box and walk out. So yeah, so far that has worked. It's worked well. We used to do it once a month, but now some of these kids read a lot. So we just say, you know what? If you want another one, just submit another request before the end of the month. We'll give us a few days and we'll try to fill the next one for you. So.
Charlene, we do it pretty much the same way as you. We do, we email the kids instead of calling them to let them know that hey, your box is ready to pick up. We put library books, 1 or 2, and candy, and like little tchotchkes, so like keychains and things like that, stickers. And we do let them know that they need to return their box within like a couple weeks or so, just so we can get the box back and we can reuse it. And they're pretty expensive if they damage or lose it. But we've paused it. We haven't done it for that long, maybe like 3 or 4 months, but we paused it once pandemic hit, and we haven't done it since. I know my library was thinking about doing it more for all ages. Personally, I like the idea of just doing it for teens, since I feel like teens get left out of a lot of, cool things. But yeah, it's pretty much the same as how you do it, Charlene, at your library.
And initially, we were just going to do it for teens, but a lot of our teens have younger siblings, and we thought they would be jealous. So we ended up buying these. I swear to you, these boxes are as big as a brontosaurus. They're so big because, picture books are so big. You have to be able to. I'm just going to show you because it's ridiculous. Like, I could live in here, you know what I mean? So that way, if we have a teen, we just put the two books in here with their crafts, and we might throw in an extra craft for them. But that way, they're big enough, and there's a sleeve for the bookmarks. And then these are big enough that you could potentially put like 5 picture books. So that way we can kind of do it for the whole family. But they're kind of big. These boxes are kind of big for the teens. I wish I would have just bought separate boxes for the teens, like smaller ones.
Yeah, we have like 3 or 4 different sizes. So we have some that are even bigger than the box you just held up for the teens. And then we have like really small ones for like more like paperback copies of our books. But yeah, they definitely take up space in our workroom right now.
We're using bags, and that seems to be working pretty good. But the first round we did was like a off-white tote bag, and one came back all dirty, and I tried washing them and that didn't happen. So now we're just doing bags that they don't have to bring back. We have a bunch of extras from random giveaways and stuff that like all the adults are like, take our bags, we don't want these bags anymore. Or grocery bags have been working, so we're just going to keep sticking with the bags, I think, and they fit around a whole bunch of sizes of books too, so they're working well for us.
Yeah, we started a new service called Library Goods, and it's pretty much the same concept as Teen Book Boxes, but it's for all ages. And instead of using a box, we use, I don't know if any of your libraries do like book bundles for the kids. So basically, it's like a little rubber band that wraps around a bundle of books that fit a certain theme. So we've been doing that for our library good items, and just rubber banding them. And they have to, there's a, oh my gosh, there's like a little laminated card that is attached to it that has a barcode that they have to check out to show that they're checking out a library goods bundle. And then we also have to check out each individual book that's placed with it. And then they just have to make sure that they return the rubber band that has the barcode attached to it. More environmentally friendly.
See, I should mention my book boxes are for ages 13 to 25. So this way I don't have to necessarily worry too much about content. So there we go. They can watch the movies, they can read the books.
All right, we've got just a few more minutes. My apologies for the visitor. Someone got bored not being on camera.
Do you ever put movies in your book boxes?
I don't.
Okay.
We've only done books.
We were thinking of starting movie bundles this summer with some popcorn and maybe like a bottle of pop or something like that. But we haven't done it, but we would like to.
I've seen some libraries do that where they have like a family movie night, like packet with popcorn and movies and stuff like that. Hot chocolate. That was cool.
I think this group was also talking about book talks. I think I probably missed that from the beginning, but were there any, anyone have any suggestions? I've had a couple of teachers ask me to do them, and I get really nervous and weird on them. Like, I've read the book, I know what this book's about, but all of a sudden I can't talk. So if anyone has any suggestions, that would be great.
Oh, I already don't like in-person book talks just because you're standing up in front of, a crowd. Although kids and teens are easier to do that in front of than adults. We have started recording hours and then posting them to our YouTube page. And that way it's easy access for any of the library media specialists and teachers. I don't think they necessarily get high views. I think mostly our story times that we post on our YouTube page do, but that's something that we do.
Yeah, I was happy when the schools said yes, because I'm not in the schools very much. So it was nice that they're like, yes, please send us some videos.
I always put a Post-it note on the back of the book with notes, like bullet points and stuff. And of course the characters' names, because I inevitably the second, I know the characters' names, and then the second I hold the book up and go to start talking, I'm like completely blank and can't remember any of the characters' names, not one of them. Even if it's a book I've read like 20 times, I can't, I could probably hold up, Goblet of Fire and be like, oh yeah, Harry Potter. All right, looks like our room's gonna close automatically in like a matter of seconds.
Thank you to everyone for all your pointers.
Yes, I think we had a great discussion.
Thank you very much.
I've enjoyed this portion of my first teen think tank, so thank you.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody.